Hello, Professor Miyazaki. How are you?
Oh, fine. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can
Yeah.
okay.
Sensei, could you please to wait maybe 5 minutes?
Yes, okay. And can I check the my screen?
Okay, sure.
Yeah. Mm, sorry.
Yeah, we can see your PowerPoint.
Yeah, PowerPoint. Yes.
Uh, yes,
Yeah, yeah.
it's clear,
You
very
you
clear.
can you can yeah you can see one slide.
Yes, I can see
Okay.
one slide.
Mm,
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
So please to wait maybe 5 minutes, Sensei, please.
Okay. Mhm, mhm. Yes. Mm, 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 mm.
Okay, Sensei, can we start the lecture?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, please.
So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for coming in this guest lecture. So today we have very special guest from Chiba University. She is Professor Misako Miyazaki. She is a professor in DNGL program, Disaster Nursing Global Reader program in Japan. And her specialty is a community nursing and also disaster nursing. And today she would like to share about the community empowerment in disaster preparedness and response. And Professor Miyazaki, this is the student from master course program in a School of Nursing, and some are students at the doctoral program, and others are the people who are interested in the community empowerment in disaster preparedness and response. So Professor Miyazaki, thank you very much for your time for today's lecture. So we are looking forward to hearing your lecture, your experience about the disaster empowerment. And maybe we can start this session, Sensei.
Yes. Yes. Dr. Noviana, thank you for introducing me. And today I'm very happy to meet all of you. As Dr. Noviana introducing me, my specialty is community health nursing. And in these days, I'm teaching on disaster nursing, focusing on community activities. So today, I'd like to have the lecture titled Community Empowerment in Disaster Preparedness and Response. So can I share my screen?
Yes, yes, please, Sensei.
Mm. Mm.
Yes, we can see your screen clearly.
Clearly, one slide.
Yes, one slide.
Okay. So you can see our Chiba University's campus. We have four campus in Chiba University, and you can see in this slide, life science campus, and our nursing school is located here in life science campus. Yeah. If you are interested in, please visit our website. So today I want to talk about these topics, and maybe there's not so much time, so it is better to pass number 3, and if I have time, I'll add the number 3 topic. So let me start with an overview of community empowerment programs in disaster preparedness in Japan. And disaster preparedness and response has been identified as one of area of health crisis management. This slide shows the 4 aspects of health crisis management that were presented by the Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare in Japan. It is very important that disaster preparedness and response also be considered to be based on these 4 aspects. And 1 and 2 provide key points on disaster preparedness. And 3 and 4 addresses disaster response. So I will explain the details respectively. The first perspective is prevention of health crisis occurrence. Based on the history of past disasters and the characteristic of people living in the area, the health hazards that are expected to occur in the area should be predicted, and preventive measures should be taken to minimize the impact of the hazard of their lives and health as much as possible. The second perspective is preparing for a health crisis occurrence. This refers to the various preparedness that should be made in advance and ensure a quick and effective response in the event of crisis. This includes the preparation of disaster response, health activity manuals, ensure cooperation with related organizations, and improvement of human resources through training and etc. The third perspective is responding to health crisis. This means activities to prevent the spread of damage, to prevent the spread of damage in the event of crisis. This includes activities such as establishment of response system, collection and management of information, a request for support assistance, and so on. The fourth perspective is recovering from the damage caused by the health crisis. And it refers to activities to create and provide services to restore the disrupted social life to the situation before the crisis occurred. This includes mental care for victims, learning lessons from the post-event evaluation, and reviewing them for future plans, and so on. In the event of disaster, various situations and organizations work together to save the lives and health of disaster victims. In Japan, one of the most distinctive features of disaster response is that the central agency in the event of disaster is the affected municipalities. Local health centers and prefectural headquarters have an important role to support the municipalities. In the back. During disasters, the most important part of the municipal response is to prevent secondary damage of life and health of the affected people. In other words, to maintain good health to detect and respond to health problems as early as possible, to guarantee quality of life and a safe and secure environment, and to prevent disaster-related death. And to empower people living during disasters, we are also think self-help, mutual aid, and public support are very important, and we also think important. These 3 points should be connected each other. Self-help means affected people take care of themselves, and the mutual aid means helping each other among affected people, and the public support means people could utilize municipal support and professional assistance. Next, I will move on to the topic of the role of nurses in community empowerment in disaster preparedness in Japan. And please go back to the slide 11. Sorry. Please look at this slide. Here are some key points for healthcare activities during a disaster. Response to emergency, prevention of secondary health damage of life and health in a sustainable manner. There are 2 points: working in response to population and working for those who are at risk, and also health promotion and community development. Sorry. The health needs of the affected population will change along the passage of time, as you know. In the early stage of disaster, the local government tends to lead the activities focusing on those with medical needs. However, as the recovery and the reconstruction process progresses, it is important to help create activities to maintain and improve health, with the affected local residents and stakeholders playing a central role. And this rise indicates people who need to be taken care of in the event of disaster. You may already be familiar with it. So please take a quick look at it. And this indicates the nursing activities in the community. And that will also change in response to changing health needs after a disaster has occurred. In the early stage of the disaster, health support in shelters was the main focus. But gradually, community health surveys were conducted to identify new people in need of care. Community activities were held in the community field after the transition of temporary housing. The community health promotion activities were promoted in cooperation with various people during the subsequent recovery period. In time of disaster, human resources are insufficient. Sometimes local supporters are also victims of the disaster and may not be able to adequately respond to the growing health needs. Here you can see in the very first stage, local supporters should by themselves to resolve the problem. But after that, it might be 4 days after the occurrence of disaster. The local supporters join the adding outside supporters, and they collaborate each other to support the victims. But as time passed, the supporters must have back to themselves, back to their own agencies and so on. So the supporters within the area must have built the system to support the victims in their own area. So in Japan, it is one of the problems to how to get the outside supporters and how to collaborate with them. It's one of the problems. And in the Great East Japan earthquake of 2011, many supporters from outside the affected area played an active role, as shown here. The outside supporter mostly are public health professionals, and also medical ambulance supporters, some parts of them. In Japan, there are several measures to obtain supporters from outside the disaster area. Here are some of them. One is support based on the mutual support agreements and other agreements in the event of disaster, and the framework among local governments nationwide, and support based on the Basic Act on Disaster Management. Voluntary support not based on request. In the 21st to 23rd slide, I show the national system of dispatching team of experts from outside the disaster area. One is the DMAT, Disaster Medical Assistance Team. And the other is DPART, Disaster Psychiatric Assistance Team. And the last one is DHEAT, Disaster Health Emergency Assistance Team. They are all development after the big disaster and lessened from them. And you can see each team needed to the special training, needed to be recorded in the nationwide system. And the prefectural top leader asked them to work as dispatched team. This is the you can see how the DMART team was developed. The lessons learned from the Great Hanshin Awaji earthquake, which may have resulted in 500 preventable disaster deaths, PDD, due to delays in the initial medical system, led to the recognition of the need to provide medical care in parallel with rescue activities in cooperation with various administrative agencies, fire departments, police, and self-defense force. The PDD, that means preventable disaster deaths, was born out of this recognition. And the D part is a disaster psychiatric assistance team, as I said. This is a professional team that enters the affected area to provide support for psychiatric treatment and mental health activities. The team consists of medical psychiatrists, nurses, and logistics coordinators. Include child psychiatrists, pharmacists, public health nurses, mental health workers, clinical ethics technicians, etc., according to local needs. Their standard activity period per team is 1 week. And the DHEAT, Disaster Health Emergency Assistance Team, is a very new team. And they manage support, especially focusing on the public health center and also the headquarters of prefectural level. So the team is responsible for medical countermeasures, measures for health and sanitation of evacuation centers and living environment, liaison and coordination related to health and medical care, integrated command and coordination of support, coordination and countermeasure meetings, information collection, analysis, and evaluation, planning and countermeasures, public relation and obstacle work, and safety and health management of staff and support personnel. And their standard activity period is at least 1 week. In this slide, I show the functions and roles of public health nurses during disasters. One is a launch of health activity system, confirm the safety of and support residents affected by the disaster who have high priority for support, assess the health status and disaster victims, summarize their needs, and create a support system, coordination of support by health, medical care, welfare, etc., based on assessment of health individuals, disaster victims, planning and implementation of health prevention programs at evacuation centers, etc., to prevent health problems from occurring. Continuation of necessary support after recovery and reconstruction. Continue health management and psychological care for supporters, including public health nurses themselves. Recording, reviewing, and sharing information on health activities. So some means most of the prefectural headquarters have the guideline. Their guidelines containing the role and those functions and the roles of public health nurses. But one of the problem is in the municipality level, most of them don't have the guideline, such mean the manuals at the event of how they start their work and how they continue their working with others and so on. And it is one of the problems. They don't have those guidelines or manuals by themselves in the municipality level. And now, this year and also next year, now I'm planning to survey. I'm planning to have a survey the situation of the municipality guideline or manual that function that facilitate the municipality nursing activity. And after that, I and my team would like to develop the guideline how to create the guideline or manuals in municipality level. So if I will have the time, I'd like to plus other recent study of myself.
Yes, please, Sensei, you can explain about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah. This is a study of having this background. Disaster preparedness and response are some of the most important issues for public or community health nurses responsible for the lives and health of local residents. In Japan, municipalities are responsible for emergency response, recovery, and preparedness, as I said, based on the Basic Act on Disaster Management. This is a fundamental act in Japan for all of the supporters. And therefore, the public health nurses belonging to municipalities are the only nursing professionals who are continuously involved in all phases of health support for disaster-affected people, from the occurrence of a disaster to peacetime. If it is a reference information, working places of nursing professionals in Japan. As you can see, in Japan, most of the nurses are belonging to the hospitals or clinic. And just only 4.0% are belonging to the community site, such as municipal office or health center. And some are working at hospital or clinic as a midwife. And I'd like to plus the information how the public health nurses are working during disasters in Japan. In Japan, public health nurses belonging to 3 types of institutions in each prefecture: prefectural headquarters, local public health centers, and municipalities. As I said, in Japan, municipality is a center of the center agency in the event of disaster occurrence. Yes, and we have 1,741 municipalities, and they are city, town, and villages. And the local health center help municipalities, and also prefectural headquarters help local public health centers and also municipalities. So in the occurrence of disaster occurred, prefectural headquarters role is to prefecture-wide management. And in the occurrence of disaster, local public health centers role is coordinating between the prefectural headquarters and the municipalities. And the municipalities' role is to providing support to disaster victims on the front line in the affected area. And urgent issues for public health nursing during disasters are coordination among public health nurses belonging to different institutions. As you can see, public health nurses are belonging to prefectural headquarters and local public health centers, and also municipalities. So the urgent issue for them is the coordination of each other. If these different institutions is not functioning effectively, causing delays in providing support to affected people. So in order to effectively provide support to the affected people, public health nurses belonging to each institution need to effectively use coordination as a professional skill. So this is our recent study. The title is Cooperation Among Public Health Nurses Belonging to Different Institutions During Disasters, a case study in Japan. So the purpose of this study is to clarify cooperative skills among public health nurses belonging to different institutions within a prefecture during disasters. In this study, cooperative skills are defined, skills to form cooperative relationships and promote activities in order to effectively carry out health support activities during disasters. And we are using our case study approach. Steps were as follows. One is selection of good practice cases. And we found 13 cases. And they include 11 wind and flood disasters and 2 earthquakes. And contacting public health nurses who responded to each case. And we interviewed 23 public health nurses in this survey and collecting information using the interview. And the interview were conducted on the behavior of coordination cooperation among public health nurses during disasters. And we analyzed data qualitatively. Yeah, and defined the data set as the contact person, and the behavior for each purpose of collaboration, and then classified qualitatively and organized by the time of the disaster cycle. And I will show you the results. Extracted number of cooperative behavior among public health nurses with 3 different institutions, I mean the prefectural level, headquarter level, and the local public health center level, and the municipalities level. With 3 different institutions in each disaster cycle. Yeah. So we found in each disaster cycle number of cooperative behaviors. Yeah. In the emergency phase is the most frequently cooperative behaviors we found. Next, restoration phase. And the initiator of the cooperation is, we think, is an important role. For example, in the emergency phase, local public health centers nurses take an important role between the connecting to each different institutions. And this is also the results focusing on the description of cooperative behavior among public health nurses with 3 different institutions in each disaster cycle. Yeah, disaster cycle means the pre-disaster phase, impact phase, emergency phase, and restoration phase, and reconstruction phase. And the characteristics of cooperation behaviors is in pre-disaster phase, consultation is one of the cooperative behaviors. And in impact phase, gathering information, assessing needs is the cooperative behaviors. And also in emergency phase, supporting and decision-making advising is the cooperative behaviors. And in restoration phase, consultation, sharing issues are cooperative behaviors. And the reconstruction phase, building systems are found as cooperative behaviors. For example, I will show you some description of cooperative behaviors. This is the description of prefectural headquarters public health nurse. One of the public health nurse said, immediately after the occurrence of the disaster, I contacted all the local public health centers in the prefecture to collect information, identify the damage, and start coordinating support to the municipalities. And in local public health center level, one public health nurse said of local public health centers said, I visited to the municipality. We did what we could do at the time together there, had time to share the issues and discussed with them their role to be carried out while helping them overcome their anxiety. And I'll show other description of municipality public health nurse. One public health nurse said, as the disaster lasts longer, the needs of the affected people have changed. So I have decided to consult with the public health nurses in the local public health centers to discuss what kind of services would be needed and how to deal with them. So in discussion, the results suggest that the cooperative behaviors among public health nurses are related to the following skills: utilizing information, such as gathering information, assessing needs, and clarifying the objectives of the activity, such as sharing issues, creating a collaborative process, such as supporting decision-making, advising, and consulting, and ensuring sustainability of activities, such as building systems. So for effective cooperation, the following preparation are considered necessary. Awareness of information and issues as cooperative sources, taking the role of connecting others and securing means for cooperation. So in conclusion, to improve cooperative skills during disasters, it could be important to utilize information, clarify the objectives of the activity, create a collaborative process, and ensure sustainability. As a future study, it is necessary to explore the organizational systems that will enable cooperative behavior to function effectively during disasters. So that's all of this study. And after we conducted study, as I tell you, this year and next year, we are planning to next survey to get the information how municipality public health nurses develop or not develop the guideline or manual as the disaster preparedness and activities. Lastly, I will show you the challenges of nurses in community empowerment in disaster preparedness. I'll show you 3 slides. One is roles and functions of community nursing in disaster preparedness and response. It is very important to enhance the community ability to respond to disasters. That means the response capacity of individuals, affected people, and also the response capacity of those systems in the disaster-affected area. And the competencies required for community nursing in disaster preparedness and response. One is a sensitivity of local and organizational culture. Communication skills are also needed, and ability to create trusting relationships, ability to encourage and motivate others, ability to cooperate and collaborate, ability to see things objectively from a perspective, viewpoint. And this is the last slide on disaster preparedness and response challenges for community nursing, especially in Japan. One is staff health management work management and mental health measures. As you know, nurses are now experiencing the activity of COVID-19. And in Japan, many nurses are exhausted in the last 3 years. And not only the COVID-19 pandemic, but also in the past disaster, a lot of nurses were also exhausted. And staff health management and work management and mental health problems are becoming more and more our problems. So it is our urgent problem and challenges how to develop the system and education. This is one of the important challenges. And also health management to the affected people and training and cooperation between some municipalities and the local public health centers and other related agencies. Yeah, okay. That's all.
Thank you very much, Professor Misako Miyazaki. It's very interesting lecture. I'm really interested with your explanation. You explained about dispatch with the medical team, and then about the collaborative behavior during the disaster phases is our research result. And now is the time for a discussion session. Is there any question from the participants? You can raise your hand, or you can write it in the chat box. Not yet. Okay. Sensei, you talked about the dispatch medical theme, DMAT and then DPAT. and
Mhm.
also the head, right? So the standard activity period is 1 week. So could you explain about this? It's mean that they work in the disaster situation only for 1 week.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So Dr. Noviana asked me why the
Yes,
period is limited.
yes, only 1 week. He
Yeah,
would
yeah,
say.
yeah, yeah. They are special trained team,
Yes.
and their main activity is management
I
and
see.
building systems. And in Japan, there are many those kind of special team now, and each team, the activity period of each team is very limited, but their activity in each team activity is connect to the next special team.
Oh, I see.
Mhm.
So they already have connection with the next team. It will be the same team. I mean,
Yes,
teammate team one and then teammate team two. Is it right?
yeah, same team, and
Oh,
yeah, and they are originally from in each institutions such as prefecture headquarters, local health centers. So in when they support when they dispatch the affected areas, they stop their belonging agencies activities. So um, so it is very difficult to dispatch for a long time for
ah,
them.
I see.
Mhm.
Yes, because they have to leave their usual daily work, right? Of
Mhm.
the survivors. I see. Thank you very much, Sensei. So it's mean you said that there are special team. It's mean
Yes.
that they already have some training and some
Mhm.
experiences
Mhm.
before they depart. Is it right?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes, that's
okay.
right.
So who trained them, Sensei?
Oh,
Who
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 tra
trained?
trained the team?
Oh, yeah. And for example, DMAT, that means a medical special team, has a office,
Yes.
and located in the um, central
Mm,
hospital,
I see.
um, which has the special special mission
I see.
regarding the disaster preparedness.
Okay.
The office plan
Mhm,
to plan the trainings
mhm,
and accept the trainers.
mhm,
Uh, so and after that, the special special um trainer who experienced
mhm.
um uh workforce
Yes.
um could have could train in each institution staffs.
Mhm. Okay. Yeah, I can imagine this. Thank you
Yeah.
very much, Sensei, for your very clear and detailed explanation. Sensei, here a question from the participants from Mr. Agus Herianto. He asked about in the response phase of disaster in Japan, especially in the emergency condition. Are they any different role between doctor and nurses? So he write in the chat box and say,
Mm.
so in the response phase of disaster in Japan, especially in the emergency phase condition, are there any different role between between doctor and nurses? Or maybe I will.
Especially in the emergency phase. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes.
Can you get the question, Sensei?
Hmm?
Can you get the question?
Yes. Yes. So the question is different role between doctors and the nurses in
Yeah.
the emergency phase.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. And yeah, doctors. Yeah. They in emergency phase. They work as one team, and the doctor focus on the check of the people's health status, and especially the emergency, the need of the emergency. And the nurse take a role, especially to support not only the physical but also the mental, and hearing their each victim's story, and getting more information in their suffering. So doctors and nurses work as one team, but nurses more contact to the affected people, a lot of affected people. So so and after in each after in each day of their work, they usually they have meetings and exchange their assessment and gathering information, and they make a record and submit to the municipality. And to make the record, sometimes it's a role of nurses. Can I answer the question?
Yes. Bapak Agus Herianto, is it clear enough?
Yes, enough. Yes, enough. Enough.
Yeah, it's enough, Sensei. It's already
Oh.
answered this question.
Thank you, Prof.
Bapak Agus Herianto, could you explain your question number 2? Are there municipality part of government in Japan?
Oh.
What do you want to ask here? Maybe you can explain.
I can explain in Indonesia.
Yes,
In
please.
Indonesia,
Yeah, you can explain in Indonesia, Sensei. It's fine. Okay, you can say it in Indonesia.
Begini, maksud saya, apakah municipalities ini termasuk bagian dari relawan gitu, atau mungkin itu adalah badan seperti BPBD kalau di kita itu, maksud apakah itu masuk dalam bagian dari pemerintah atau mungkin lembaga-lembaga relawan gitu? Terima
Oh,
kasih.
kayaknya itu kayak ini loh Pak, kabupaten gitu ya, kota madya gitu loh.
Oh, pemerintah lokal ya.
Iya,
Oh,
levelnya di kabupaten kota madya gitu. Iya.
oh.
Then say he asked about the municipalities because maybe we have the different image here. In Indonesia, we have local public health center. So maybe you can give us image what happened in the municipalities level there.
Oh. Oh yes. Yeah. Municipality is a local government, very near to the residents.
Mhm. Okay.
And yes,
Prefecture and then municipalities. Is it right?
yes. In Japan, we have 47 prefectures, and
Yes.
and 1,745 municipalities.
Right.
It's a local, very local level
Mhm.
government.
Mhm. I see. And so they give in Indonesia in a local, how to say, in local level a public health center in the local. So is it different with the public health center in with the municipalities here?
Yes. In Japan, there are one type of health center is set up by prefecture.
Okay.
Prefecture level health center. And in municipalities, there are health centers also, but it was set up by municipality, and the function of the municipality health center is for caring for babies or pregnant women and elderly older people, and health, not only the health checkup, but also the counseling of health, and also the health education, and some activities promoting health. And on the other hand, the prefectural level health center is more specific activities, such as infectious diseases, or the mental health problems, and other very difficult problems that cannot be treated within the municipality level.
Okay, thank you very much for your explanation, Sese, because it's kind a little bit different with the situation in Indonesia. So now we have a clearer idea about this. Yeah, okay, thank you very much. So there are other some question. I think Marsa, Nancy, you raise your hand, is it right?
Yes.
Yeah, please.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry I cannot turn on my camera. Okay, thank you, Buki, for the time, and good afternoon, Professor Misako. My name is Marcia, and I want to ask about how about the facility to the healthcare, if there any surgery needed in the place that, and there's someone or people need the urgent surgery, is that because I ever heard a news about the technology in Japan that they can operate the surgery in the time being at that place, right? Is that true, or how about the system to make that system in that Japan?
So do you mean surgery in that time, in that place when the disaster happened? Is it?
Yes.
Oh, I see. So see here about the news in Japan that the technology is very advanced, Sensei.
Yeah.
So when the disaster happened, then the medical team can do surgery in that time, in that place. So is it right, or she would like to know about that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In the yeah. In the affected area, it might be difficult to do the surgery treatment. So the affected people who need to get surgery might be transferred to the other place and other hospitals to get surgery treatment.
Okay, thank you. I understand.
No, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Mustako.
Oh, no problem. Thank you.
Okay, so the next is Nada.
Yes, Bu.
Yes, please.
Yeah. I'm sorry before because I can't turn my camera because my signal
Okay.
is not really good. Thanks for your time given to me, Bu Uki. Excuse me, Sensei. My name is Nada, I'm student at University Gajah Mada. I want to ask about description of cooperative behaviors in the table I meant. In the local public health center, you explained that you are share the issues and discuss with them the role to be carried with while helping them overcome their anxiety. So as a pediatric nursing, I want to know how you can deal with the anxiety of survivor, especially for child. Is there any trauma healing or other therapy for pediatric survivor maybe? You can sharing about it, Sensei? Thank you.
Okay, so your question is about support for a pediatric disaster victim. Is it right, Nada?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And the question is a care for the pediatric field, pediatric field for the example the case for the disabled children.
Yeah, the care for the pediatric survivors. It can be disabled children, or it can be children in general. Is it right, Nada? You can make it clear.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. This is one of our biggest problem to care, especially the disabled children using the electric suppliers in daily life. And last year, we developed a new role to the disabled children. And it might be some progress our activity. Our means are nursing activity for the disabled children at the time of disaster. Some municipality and local health center are now have the plan to each disabled infant rescue plan when the disaster occurred.
Okay.
Mm.
Is it answer your question, Nada?
Yeah, I understand. It's clear. Thank you.
Thank you.
Professor,
Professor.
Professor Miyazaki, we still have 3 questions. You have,
Yeah.
but is it fine for you? It's already 5 to 13 in Japan, I think. Is it fine to answer another question?
Yes, I'm fine. Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
So this is a question from Mace Finn. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Hello, Professor Misako.
Hello.
I'm Mace. I'm a doctorate student in game. I have 2 questions. The first question is, sometimes when disaster happens, the nurses also become the victims.
Yes,
So
yes.
we face the lack number of the nurses.
Mhm.
So based on your experience in Japan, how you counter this issue? And the second question that you said earlier about the local outside supporters. So is it a nurses or outside the nurse provisions? And if it is outside the nurse provisions, so what the characteristics of become these supporters?
Hmm.
Do you get it, Professor, my questions?
Mhm.
Because I'm not clear enough about the local outside supporters. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, since
So,
you get the question.
yeah. The first question is, nurse, nursing, the damage or victims of nurse, and yes, and what sorry, could you tell me
Could you repeat the
mm,
question,
mm.
please?
So when disaster happens, sometimes the nurses also become the victims.
Yes, yes.
So how you counters this issue, the lack numbers of the nurses? Yes, this
Okay,
is the
keep your second question. Maybe Mia second sensei will answer the first question. So how to encounter the lack of nurses when the disaster happens, Sensei?
Oh, how we encounter yeah um oh yes, and yes, in municipality, not only nurses but also other municipality staffs work on the front line when the disaster occurs. So the some municipality workers, including nurses, could be victims, and So they encounter me in the
Yeah,
street.
yeah.
Street.
I when the disaster happened, many nurses become a victim, right? Since so, how
Yes.
we face this condition, how we solve this condition.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, you also mentioned that there are dispatch nurse, I think,
Yes. Yes.
kind of thing, maybe.
Yeah. Yes. So there. Yes. So the one point is who the nurses who have who had damages themselves or who have damages their families their they don't most cases in most cases readers would stop to come to their work.
Yes.
Usually they were stopped to come to the work.
Yes.
And yeah, and after that the human resources, that means the manpower,
Mhm.
would be shortened.
Mhm.
So the dispatched supporters
Mhm.
come from the outside of the this affected area, would be welcomed and encouraged to come and work together with the affected areas nurses and outside nurses.
Okay, so since I also have some research about dispatch nurse, I think.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Miss Finn, is it answer your first question? So there in Japan they have a dispatch nurse when the lack of nurse resources in some place because of the disaster effect, then they have a dispatch nurse from other area, nurses from the other area will come and support the public health center which has the damage. Is it answer your question for your first question?
Yes, yes, ma'am. Well,
Okay, so you also have the second question, right?
yes, the second questions. So about the local outside supporters. So like you said earlier, is it nurses from the local, from the other area, from the center or the other professions? You said the nurses like volunteer.
Oh, I see. So the dispatch nurse, it can be nurse or team or where they are
Yes,
come from. Is it right?
the local outside supporters from
Oh,
your
okay.
slide. Yes, before you said about the local outside supporters. Are they
Oh,
nurses from the other place?
okay. So
Yes.
the local outside supporters. Is it right? So a slide. Could you remember which slide?
Oh,
In your slide, do you have? Because
Okay.
okay.
I'm not clearly about that. Local outside supporters.
Okay. Okay. No, not one.
Can you see my slide?
Yes, we can see your slide. Wait, do you remember?
Yes, this one.
Oh, okay.
This one.
This one.
Yes.
Outside.
And
Respond by local resources, do you mean?
Oh, so you are asking what the local resources mean?
Supporters, sorry, about outside supporters.
Local supporters, what does it mean?
No, I'm sorry. I mean about the outside supporters, this one at the top of these graphs.
Oh, outside
Yes.
supporters.
Is it nurses from the outside of the disaster area? Or I mean, is it the outside supporters are the nurses or not nurses?
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Outside supporters mean mostly nurses, but not only nurses. Such as pharmacists or midwives or nutritionists and caseworkers and so on. But mostly nurses from outside of the affected area.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you, Prof. Misako. So it is the multidiscipline cooperation.
Mhm.
Thank you. Thank you for enlightening me.
Thank you. Thank you for your question as well. Okay, so we still have some questions, Sensei. Is it
Mhm.
fine for you?
Yes, yes, okay.
I'm sorry,
Mm.
I will share screen about the question.
Mm.
This one. So the question is, how does local wisdom affect disaster management in Japan? And the second question is the function and role of public health nurses during disaster, about psychological care. What is the role of nurses in psychological preparedness in Japan, and what activity can be done? Yeah, maybe you can answer this briefly because the time limit.
Mhm. The first question is, how does a local wisdom affect disaster management in Japan? Mhm. Yes. As you know, we have a lot of natural disasters every year, as Indonesia experience, and after each experience of disaster, in every level, such as municipality level and the local health center level and the headquarter level, on each level would have the reflection and pull out the local wisdom from their experiences. And some wisdom reflect to the guideline or manuals of the activity, but it's a pity good wisdom, very important wisdom are not sometimes are not affected to guideline or manuals and trainings for them. It's a very pity. And so I think there are a lot of local wisdom after disaster. So we should encourage to use and use the local wisdom, those kind of wisdom, to the next plan. And to do that, they need the help. They need a special help from such as university, nursing, and faculty members, I think.
I see. So Japanese always learn from the experience, I think, and the local wisdom as well. Okay, thank you very much, Sensei. So for the second question, maybe only brief answer because the time limits. I'm so sorry.
Oh,
Yeah, it's about function and role of public health nurses during disaster, about the psychological care. So do the public health nurse also support the psychological care, and what is the role of nurses in psychological preparedness in Japan?
thank you. And the question, this question of psychological means psychological preparedness for residents or for nurses.
So, Mr. Aziz, you can explain. This is for survivor.
For nurses.
Oh, for nurses.
For nurses themselves. Oh, yeah, thank you. And it is very important issues. And we don't have enough preparedness, especially for nurses, psychological matters. So there's some movement to encourage to develop the psychological preparedness training for nurses themselves. But yeah, there's a movement of that, but we don't have enough training, especially targeting for psychological preparedness for nurses.
Okay.
Mm.
Thank you, Sensei. Yeah, actually we still have 2 more questions, but the time is up. So we are so sorry. Maybe we cannot answer this question right now. Yeah, because the time is limit. I'm so sorry for for Irni Fursi. I'm so sorry. She asked about the disaster management for natural disaster and also low condition such as war. Sorry, and also for Fajar Arum. Maybe next time we can discuss later. Okay, Sensei. So thank you very much for the very interesting topic of discussion this afternoon. We'll learn a lot from you, Sensei, today. And thank you very much for the participants who joined this guest lecture. You joined from the until the end of this session. Please don't forget to fulfill the attendance list in the chat box. And okay, we will close this session. Thank you very much for Professor Misako Miyazaki for your lecture, and also thank you for the participant, and see you maybe next time or maybe see you at Japan. Okay, so bye everyone. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you so much. I very enjoyed talking with you. Yeah, thank you so much. In next time,
Okay.
I really hope to visit Yogyakarta and University of Gajah Mada Faculty of Nursing
Sure.
in the near future. Yeah.
Yes, please welcome to the and meet us
Yes.
here. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you so much.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Professor.
Bye.
Thank
No
you.
problem.
Thank you, sure.
Baik, terima kasih semuanya sudah ngisi presensi ya. Terima kasih untuk kehadirannya. Saya close the session.